Hey, have you been told that there's something wrong with your child? Behavior disorder, ADHD, oppositional defiant disorder, IED, DMDD, pathological demand avoidance? Well, I want to explain something to you today that will answer the question that's eating at your soul, like, what am I doing wrong? How could this be possible? God, give me an answer. There must be a better way. And there is a better way. My name's Bonnie Liotta, and back in 2011, I was just like you, dealing with 4 kids, suffering with these mental health disorders, temper tantruming for hours and hours at a time. My house was complete chaos. The kids hated me, and I was just at a complete loss for answers, in fetal position, praying to God. Thankfully, the answer did come in 2011, and I discovered through Thomas Liotta and a program called Creating Champions for Life how to talk to my kids in such a way that empowered them to rise up to their greatness. And I ended up with the most fabulous, outstanding, cooperative, kind, loving, confident kids ever. Ever since then, I was like, every mom in the world deserves to know about this. We've been working with families from all over the globe, 10 countries right now that we can count, studying the Learn to Speak Kid book from Amazon and our course through the 90-Day Parenting Challenge for Change. So if this rings a bell with you today, we do have a plan for you to completely transform in 90 days or less. Have you ever heard of the word neuroplasticity? I had never heard of a neural pathway or neuroplasticity either when my oldest son, the first one of 4, diagnosed with ADHD when he was in grade 3. So I literally had no choice but to buy into that box, put him on medication, and just believe that somehow God had given me sick kids. When I did see the other side, I started to research what is a neural pathway. Now, I found a story in this book called The $1,000,000 Day, and not that long ago, and I was like, how relevant is this to what parents are dealing with the labels that are being put on our kids today? Hang on, let me get my glasses. I was just going to summarize the story for you, but it's way better if I read it word for word. So give me a few minutes and it will change your entire thought process when it comes to labeling your kids. Power of thought, neuroplasticity, and the MDD. In the year 2010, we built a home in a quiet, newly formed community outside of Phoenix, Arizona. We were the 8th home built in a master plan community that was slated to have over 1,200 homes in it. When we first arrived, it was stunningly quiet. But very shortly, the economy began to recover and there was a supernova of homes. Dozens and dozens being built simultaneously. Suddenly, the quiet desert was filled with machines making roads and preparations for the expansion of the community. Our desert playground disappeared almost overnight. All this was well and fine. However, one day while exiting our neighborhood, I noticed a line of cars about a half-mile long waiting to turn left onto the only exit road from the community. There was no stoplight in place, and it was a 2-lane road. The congestion of traffic seemed almost unbearable. Then we left for the summer. When we returned back to Arizona a few months later, we noticed the old 2-lane road became a 6-lane road, and a flurry of new traffic lights were in place. Immediately, even though there was now even more homes and more cars and more people, there was zero congestion, zero traffic issues, and everything was calmer and more beautiful. So how does this relate to neuroplasticity? Neuroplasticity, in short, is a term that describes the capacity of the brain to create new neural pathways to adapt to new realities. In other words, our brains have current pathways similar to roads. So when you have an ADHD child and you're told that they have impulse control issues and they don't have the ability to focus, they're missing neural pathways. Yes, we can believe that something's broken in them for the rest of their lives, but truly, through conscious training, conscious life skills training, you can help your child develop new neural pathways and they can develop the ability to focus. They can develop something called self-control. Your oppositional defiant disorder child, they can develop the ability to have self-discipline. They can master their emotions. The question is, what do you believe? And maybe until this moment right now, you had no choice but to believe what the doctors were telling you, but inside your soul, you knew there must be a better way, and there is a better way. In other words, our brains have current pathways similar to roads. All the information in our lives travel on these electric roads. These are basically the existing infrastructure for how we interpret and deal with our lives. However, the idea of neuroplasticity is that our brains are somewhat plastic, aka stretchy, and able to form new electric roads. I have seen the transformation myself in hundreds and hundreds of kids. We have dozens and dozens of case studies of families who have worked with us through our 90-day parenting challenge for change. And the transformation is absolutely magical. And if you're like, well, what is the 90-day parenting challenge for change? You can register for our free masterclass that will share with you all the formula that creates these behavior disorders, the magic formula to get to the other side, the joyful, loving side of parenting. And at the very end, we will share with you a master plan. If you're ready to commit, if you're ready to invest some time, some money, some energy for 90 days that'll change your life forever, it's the best investment you'll ever make, because really, what's more important than our kids? So I strongly encourage you to look up neuroplasticity, study, do your due diligence on what is a neural pathway so that your soul can be enlightened to the truth that every child has a genius inside, that they adapt to their environment. And when you can learn to create a new environment, a proactive environment, and we can focus on missing life skills versus trying to figure out what's wrong with our kids, well, your whole life can be completely transformed. I'm Bonnie Liotta, and a couple of weeks ago, I did a video about my life story, the story with my kids, how I discovered creating champions for life, and literally how it transforms lives. And you can watch that by clicking right over here. Until we meet again, here's to your parenting success. Cheers.